Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Geek World Radio. So this week we're going to do another one of our awesome debate shows where we're going to try and figure out which of two superhero movies is going to do the best at the box office.
Totally anime. This time around, it's Mutants versus Misfits. I will be defending X-Men Days of Future Past, and Anime will be defending
Guardians of the Galaxy.
The whole thing we're talking about is domestic gross.
Right.
Is what's going to do best domestically overall. So I believe that X-Men Days of Future Past will do better than Guardians of the Galaxy.
But you're wrong.
Okay, you know what? I don't appreciate that. This is why. Okay, first off, this franchise has made, like, over $1 billion since its inception. It's a huge franchise. People love the X-Men. And not only that, this is clearly their attempt of doing like an Avengers-type X-Men. They're taking all the people from the original series, a ton of big stars. It's going to be a giant movie.
Right, but first off, having a lot of big stars doesn't always mean a good thing. You know, first off, how much time are any of them going to get on screen? Besides that fact that all of the X-Men movies have been progressively losing money at the box, well, not losing money at the box office, but getting less and less at the box office, you know? They haven't been bringing in as big a haul as they have in the past.
I know, but I think that's the point of this one, right? It's like they're getting everyone together as a big sort of extravaganza. Wolverine's like heading it. You know, the Wolverine movies, they still do well. Yeah. And, you know...
But not as well.
That's true, but one more thing that's big and one more thing that's different. The guy who directed the two movies that did the best in the franchise is back. Bryan Singer is going to be directing it. They got Sentinels. They got freaking Wolverine and Professor X. They got Jennifer Lawrence, who's sort of like a box office like monster. Like all of her movies usually do well. Except for American Hustle, but that movie sucked, so that's not the point. So I think overall could do well. And on top of that, honestly, Guardians of the Galaxy, like, even comic book fans really don't know who Guardians of the Galaxy are. I mean, I don't really see... I see it being the Marvel movie with the least possibility of doing really well.
Now, the thing is that a lot of people might not already know who the Guardians of the Galaxy are, but when it really comes down to it, a lot of people didn't really know who Iron Man was when the first Iron Man movie came out. Guardians of the Galaxy, it's a ragtag bunch of misfits. It's an awesome group of really cool characters. It's going to be so different than any of the other Marvel movies, any of the Marvel/Fox movies, any of the Marvel/Sony movies. It doesn't matter where Marvel goes, but the fact is that Guardians of the Galaxy is such a cool group, and you know what? X-Men might have a Wolverine, but that Wolverine is a dude. Rocket Raccoon is an actual raccoon with guns, and his best friend is a giant tree.
You know, listen, I'm excited for Guardians and everything, but at the same time, I mean, it's also a tall order. They're really asking a lot from the audience with a raccoon, a talking raccoon with guns, with a giant tree, like you brought up. I mean, the fact is, it's like no one knows who any of these characters are. People know who Wolverine is. They know who these main characters and X-Men are.
Yeah,
Guardians of the Galaxy, and not only that, but it's not the same thing like Iron Man 3 or Captain America that propel off the Avengers. It's not like these characters were ever in another Marvel movie.
No.
And on top of that, also, there's no real big stars in Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, you know, people know who, like, Chris Pratt is, kind of.
Right.
People know who Zoe Saldana is, kind of, though she's going to be covered in green makeup. But really, there's no, like, big marquee stars. There's not, like, Hugh Jackman. There's not, like, Jennifer Lawrence.
Who was Hugh Jackman when the first X-Men movie came out? Who were a lot of the people in superhero movies when those movies came out? They weren't anybody. And that's kind of part of the thrill of Guardians of the Galaxy, too, that you don't necessarily really know the people that are in it. And so you're not caught up in past things that they've done. You're not really thinking, you know, the same audience that's going to see Guardians of the Galaxy didn't see Zero Dark 30 with Chris Pratt, you know? They're not going to be thinking back on it and being like, wow, I really can't see that Zero Dark 30 guy as Star-Lord. No one's going to be thinking that. They're going to be like, wow, this is a new character. This is somebody that I can really get into. And like I said, ragtag bunch of misfits, that's always appealing. You know, that's how some of the X-Men movies in the past have felt. But now it's not really the same kind of thing. We know them. They're almost an army now.
Have you seen the trailer from X-Men Days of Future Past? They have Sentinels. Yeah. They have Colossus. Storm is back. They have 2 different Professor X's. 2 different Magnetos. They got Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. They have Blink. They have Bishop. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is like, if you, Rogue, if you, Kitty Pryde is back, Iceman is back. If you've ever seen one of these movies, you have to be semi-excited for this movie.
Okay, first off, we don't even know how much Rogue is going to be in it, because, like, you know,
they were going to take her out.
Only a couple days ago, practically, it was like, yeah, Rogue was cut from the movie. They stuck her back in somehow. And by the way, have you seen the pictures of Quicksilver?
Or that horrible Carl's Jr. ad,
yeah,
which still gives me nightmares to this day.
I mean, really, not to mention the fact that, yeah, Bryan Singer might be back, but let's think about the last superhero movie that he directed.
What, Superman Returns?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, can he really get his mojo back? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, listen, if we know one thing is that Bryan Singer can direct a decent X-Men movie. I mean, he directed 1, he directed 2, he produced X-Men First Class, which was very good. And, you know, I love James Gunn, don't get me wrong, but James Gunn has never made a big movie. Like, ever.
No, but he makes a lot of
movies.
cool movies.
Yeah, they're true, but they're movies like most people haven't seen. Most people don't know what Slither is. No. Most people don't know what Super is. I mean, when the biggest claim to fame you can say of the guy is he wrote Scooby-Doo and the Dawn of the Dead remake, it's like, and don't get me wrong, I love James Gunn. I think he's going to do a great job. I'm just saying, I think that, you know, the X-Men movies have everything stacked for them. Right. People know that Bryan Singer can make a good X-Men movie. People know these actors. People know these characters. And this is really the most exciting endeavor they've done with the X-Men universe.
Sure, that might be true, but people are really starting to get sick of X-Men. They're starting to get sick of a lot of the things that they've seen over and over again. And like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy is something totally new. It's got a totally different feel to it. You know, this is one of those sort of almost anti-hero groups, you know? And the characters themselves, they're so strong and they're so cool and they're so different than anything else we've seen. And it's in space! It's in space, Dave!
It is in space, Anime. That's a very good point. It is in space. But at the end of the day, I really hope Guardians of the Galaxy has some really good post-credit scenes. Because they're going to have to smack Marvel all over that thing for most people to even have any idea it's Marvel. It's not Captain America. It's not Iron Man. It's not the Hulk. And I get that the fact that Iron Man wasn't even as big, but still people, even comic book fans were familiar with Iron Man. They could tell their friends. I'm still saying there's a lot of comic book fans who are like, oh yeah, it's like kind of this team and there's a raccoon involved with
But
guns.
You're leaving it all up to the comic book fans. That was the great thing about the Marvel movies, that they've been able to bring in people that are not comic book fans. They've been able to bring in the general audience and really make it appeal to them and make them want to see the sequels. You know, the fact is that X-Men, like I said, the box office has been going down progressively for each movie.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I can't say anything about that.
Also, Marvel Studios just has such a good grasp on their characters because they are Marvel. You know, X-Men, it's Fox. You know, they might take some liberties and...
But there was a long time where X-Men 2 was like the best superhero movie ever made. I mean, or X-Men 1. I mean, X-Men 1... was really what started the serious superhero movie. I mean, Spider-Man is what made superhero movies box office successes,
right.
But X-Men is the thing that made people go, you know what, maybe it's not just kid stuff. And I think that's an important thing. Also, I believe that X-Men has a much better date. May 23rd. May is now the really big month for these movies. I mean, there's a reason why Captain America 3 and Batman vs. Superman are both fighting over the May 6th slot. May is totally the best month to put out one of these huge movies, because not only is it early, but it'll have the longest period in theaters. When Guardians of the Galaxy has August 1st, which is really not one of the best months to put out a movie. It's still in summer, but August 1st, really, August in general, is certainly not the biggest box office month of the year.
It might not be, but it is still summer. You know, kids are coming back from camp, but they're not off to school yet. You know, it's still a big time. Plus, like I said, you've got this sort of mass appeal. People do love anthropomorphic animals.
All right, well, let's wrap it up. I think X-Men's going to do better. I think with Bryan Singer back, even though he's got bad press, he knows how to make an X-Men movie. It's got all the characters. It's going to be the Avengers for the X-Men. And I think it's going to be a really cool movie. It's got some huge box office stars, and it opens in late May, which I think is a great month for a big movie like this to open.
I think the Guardians of the Galaxy is totally going to kick ass at the box office. I think that it's just a totally different type of movie than any of the other superhero movies that we've seen. I think that Zoe Saldana is a draw. I think that Chris Pratt will become a draw after this. I think that people do love Bradley Cooper, even if he's just going to be the voice of Rocket Raccoon. I think people still love Vin Diesel, even if he's just going to say, I am Groot. And you can bring in those wrestling fans with
Dave Bautista!
That's right. He's playing Drax the Destroyer. One more thing.
Oh, God.
Karen Gillan from Doctor Who. Let's not forget that, Doctor Who fans.
You know, you would never know it's her unless you actually read the credits, though. She's completely covered up in makeup, head to toe.
You know what?
She's a blue chick.
Now you know.
Eyes.
Now you know.
Now you know. All right, guys. Well, this is just our opinion, but we want to know what your opinion is. What will do better domestically this year at the box office? Will it be X-Men Days of Future Past, Definitely.
No.
Definitely.
Or Guardians of the Galaxy.
Probably not.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's going to kick ass.
Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you want to listen to a radio show, on every week on Indie 100 and The Point.
And if you want to get in touch with us, send us an email to geekworldradio@yahoo.com. And be sure to check out our website, geekworldradio.com.
I am Groot, bub. See what I did there?
Nice.
Pretty good. Bye.